Hello everyone, Larry Satchwell here. At the top of my flower garden overlooking the garden vegetable garden is directly behind the camera there. May 1st, garden update. Let's take a little tour. Let's start up here. As you can see, I've got a lot of flowers planted here, and I've got a lot of room behind me that I'm hoping I can get the black African basil again, but it hasn't been available. And I tried to take cuttings, but those plants don't produce seeds. And I failed over the winter. Anyway, you can see the battery on my Papa soap waterfall has been working beautifully. This is a cardinal flower I recently purchased at one of the nurseries that has ponds and things. But these are the cuttings I took last year from one of the local ponds, and I'm really happy. Oh, there was a frog that just jumped out of there. I'm not sure you can see it. It's a toad, actually. Right underneath this mulch is that fresh manure I put down trying to get rid of the mugwort. I've got some mugwort coming up here. I've got some sedge coming up here. And I'm not sure what that is, but I'm going to let it grow for a while. I found that brush killer or poison ivy killer has the ingredients to get rid of this mugwort. So as this mugwort comes up, like these little shoots right here, I'm not going to try to pull it because that will just multiply the problem. I'll give it a squirt, and probably give it a squirt every day for a long time. I guess you could say at age 73 and over 50 years of gardening experience, I'm finally maturing as a gardener. I'm starting to label these plants. And even though I can't pronounce them, I can tell you what they are. This is a dollar store plant label, and this is the label that came off of the pot. And this is Gorilla Tape, that clear Gorilla Tape. So I've got Veronica here, and the variety is Red Fox, and I've got 3 of those. I like to plant in 3s or odd numbers. I think it just looks more aesthetically beautiful. So I did plant some basil, and this is Purple Ruffles. It's supposed to be a lot like that black, and I seeded these in the basement over winter, and I've got them staggered here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It looks like they're going to make it. This one is speckled, and that's a weed. So hopefully, as these daffodils die back, those will grow up and be big, beautiful plants in the future. My Batistia is growing here and blooming. It'll only bloom for a short time. I tried, there was one down in Ethan's flower plot, and I wanted to move it up here, and I could not believe, I'm not sure it's going to make it. I could not believe the taproot. The taproot went down 18 inches at least. So this is a big hole. I didn't get all of the roots. I hope that it'll come back. I've got foxglove in this area. If you're a longtime viewer, you probably will remember this hill. I'm not sure I can find a photo of it. Was covered with yarrow. And I think a couple of things happened. In making this new rock wall here over the winter, I trampled on a lot of it. Then we had a full week of below freezing temperatures, and I think that did away with a lot more. But there are still plants coming up. And I found a really clever way to transplant some. I've got some over here under the tree, and I'll show you that in a second. But I've got some black-eyed Susans too that I found as I was putting out the mulch. And I've got those in the basement under lights, trying to get them a little better well-rooted. And I've got to thank my wonderful wife. This garden the flower garden has never looked better. I've been wanting to put mulch down here for years, but there was just so much covered of plants that I didn't know where to put it. So having a lot of it died last winter, I was able to move around and put it around the daffodils and find a lot of other things. So I'm really happy with it. There's a lot of mulch out here. I think we bought 35 bags maybe when it was on sale. My onions here have gone to seed, And I'm actually going to let them go to seed and see if I can plant those. I think you can get a better look of the rest of the garden if I move the camera down the hill. Before we go down the hill, though, I did want to show you my dianthuses. I had maybe this many more in here as well that didn't make it through the winter. And I'm experimenting this year with drip irrigation. And I will let you know how that goes. On our way down there, I'll stop here and have you look at my bearded tongue. Basticium, I think is the way you pronounce it. I had thrift here, and I'm supporting it, and I think I've got some false sunflower coming up through this ring. That's where it was last winter, or last summer, and I'm not sure it made it over the winter. So I mentioned before that I've got a great way to transplant this yarrow. I've got my Groat Pal dandelion weed puller here. This is my beautiful split leaf. Actually, it's Karen's. I gave it to Karen one year for Christmas. A split leaf dragon. Red. The label's in here. I can't find it right now. But anyway, those roots extend out. So I've got this yarrow over here that I really don't want it to interfere here. So I can take these individual plants up and get those roots out of it, and this ejects it like a shotgun. I didn't interfere with the tree roots, and I've got a beautiful little transplant here. And I'll put that down there in that empty spot as soon as I finish filming here. And of course, I'll have to put in that this is a paid promotional video. Grout Pal did give me this last year to demonstrate. And I love it. It's a great tool. This plant right here is goldenrod, not ragweed. Ragweed will cause allergies. Goldenrod doesn't. I've experimented with it a little bit here. This is supposed to be a late bloomer in the fall, so I've cut several of the stems back to see what they're going to do, and they are starting to branch out. And go ahead and let this bloom and maybe cut it back extensively after it blooms. This was full of echinacea, and unfortunately only a few of them are coming up. So these plants right here I just planted this week. They were from my winter planting in that jug that I've been talking about in the last few videos on the garden update. And it looks like I have some yarrow coming up here too, and that echinacea is about ready to bloom. That's a red variety of coneflower. And at the Growers Outlet right now, these are $12 a plot. I can't afford that. Right up there, I can't remember the name of it. I'll flash it on the screen here. Those were bulbs that I bought half price at Lowe's at the end of the season. They overwintered. There's a lot of plants in there. And I think they're going to be really good for the pollinators. A little closer look at the waterfall here. This, and from here on out, since I can't pronounce it correctly, these are going to be known as tobacco plants. And I've got, I think, 18 of them in here. The petunias should start spreading out, and I've got some zinnias in there that I found on sale. All of those tobacco plants I started from seed. They are so easy to start from seed. They need light, so I just scattered it. I think I had a takeout leftover box that had a clear top on it. I sprinkled them on top, put them under the lights, and I just had thousands of them spring up. This is really looking good. They had that on sale at Growers Outlet last week, but I've already got one, and I'll see what it does. I think it's a perennial. My water lettuce, there was only one plant in here. It's already grown. The water hyacinth has got 5 plants on it already, and the parrotweed is growing fast. So I'm just loving this. And since I've already put a plug in for a Grow Pal, this is already a paid promotional. Papa Soap gave me this outfit, and I'm really enjoying it. And again, if you've been with me a long time, you know that I had all these strawberry plants up here, and it was on a pretty good slope. So I've tried to put some rock in here and make it more manageable. That empty spot up there has a lot of black-eyed Susans in it. That's why I didn't put mulch in it. But these strawberries, look at that. I don't know what this strawberry variety is. I don't know how it got up here, but I'm going to let it spread throughout here. Looks like something's been digging in my garden right there. And I transplanted a lot of these when I was fixing this hill into our strawberry bed, and we've got some beautiful strawberries right now. So moving down the hill just a little bit, that's where my onions are. That's a Joe Pye weed, and I had several of them, like half a dozen of them, and that's the only one that is coming up this year. I'm not sure what this plant is, but it looks like something's been eating on it. Behind these daffodils are more bearded tongue. And again, several more were in there and they just didn't make it. And behind that are Shasta daisies up there. And I left the flowers on them. There were 3 or 4 that came up over here by the onions. And then I planted 4 more over here. Shasta daisies are one of my wife's favorite flowers, and she works so hard out here. I want to please her in any way I can. On my last update, I mentioned I only had 2 of my balloon flowers coming up, but I was wrong. Thanks to my wife's diligent weeding, she found all of these. And I just noticed that there's a strawberry plant right in there amongst them too. So those strawberries will spread. I don't know what that strawberry is, but it sure is hardy. And I've got some spiderwort here, and I think that's just something that the birds planted. It's a lot taller this year than it's ever been, but it's nice and pretty. And if you cut it back, it will bloom again. But this one's got lots of blooms to get to open. All right, let's turn our attention to the vegetable garden. This is getting to be long. Start here at the potato patch. Something is making these leaves curl, and this is about ready to bloom. These are all white Kennebec potatoes in here. A few more coming up. I have added more straw to this bed, and I've got an organic spray that I've been putting on these and on my tobacco plants up there because something's been eating them. So I'll continue to spray this. I don't think it'll affect the production too much. In that last scene, you may have been able to see just in the corner my peony bush. That's another word that's hard and fun at the same time. This is from my mom. I brought this home to my home after she passed away. And it used to be up in the garden. And right here, it looks like a perfect spot for it because it gets late afternoon sun and not that much. I've got another one up there that is getting too much shade, so I'm going to probably move that down here. And finally, we're at the vegetable garden. I've got some nice radishes here. This one may be a little, it's solid. Radishes, carrots, lettuce, radishes, lettuce, and all in there. I just planted some more carrots last week. Those look good. I think I have enough radishes in there for roasted radishes. I did those last year for the first time, and I really like them. These are straight 8 cucumbers, and I had this old piece of fence I put up here for them to climb on, so I'm going to be growing those vertically this year. Here I've got crookneck squash, 6 of them, and I need to get some more of the supports. I'm going to try to grow those vertically as well. So, while we're at this end, these are the winter onions that I was so disappointed in last time. When onions bend over like this, they normally stop growing, but these have just kept going. Now this one is at its end, but there's some nice onions in here. And I've been calling this a fail, and maybe I just wasn't patient enough. But at any rate, we're going to have a lot of onions. And I'm going to keep them, let them go as long as they will, and once they start drying off, then I'll harvest them. This is a zucchini plant. I've mulched with spent hay and pine needles here. These onions are onions that we didn't use last year, and I just stuck them in the ground. And that's another bed of the winter onions. And I should have pointed out while I was looking at those other ones, I've got some tomato plants right in the middle of both of those beds. I'm going to talk more about the tomatoes in a few minutes, but I've got a lot of crabgrass growing up in here. Anyway, these onions will be harvested, and these tomatoes will be perfect in this spot. Right here I've got my pepper plants, and again, this is spent hay. The horses dig through their hay and they don't eat all of it, so we gather it up, pile it up down at the barn, and then I let it sit there for several weeks and plant it, mulch, use it as mulch up here. I've mulched these plants with straw, and this is my main onion crop. This will last us into late October, mid-November, just depends on how well we store them. But this is from the Omaha. This is a variety called Candy. They're they're a day neutral is what I'm trying to say, a day neutral onion. So they're perfect for the mid-Atlantic states here. You need to know if you need a long day, short day, or a variety like this if you want big bulbs. Usually the bulbs you find at the big box stores are not for your area. So the strawberries are looking great. Of course, this end gets more sun than this end, but we haven't had enough to make a bowl full, but each day my wife brings me up several. I've got them covered here because this is what happens if you don't. The birds get them. All right, let's talk about my tomato plants here. As you can see, this one looks really sorry. And I think I figured out why. For over 30 years, the greenhouse was on the other side of the creek here, and Billy Ray still comes back. He has a spot rented over there from the new owners. He comes back every year with new plants. So he was here last weekend, and I took him one of these really ugly looking tomato plants. I said, Billy Ray, what do you think is happening here? And he said, Larry, I think they're too wet. And the other bed over there, I'll show you in a minute, the tomatoes are thriving. That's where I have the soil that I bought from the rock and soil place. This was covered with about 6 inches of compost. And the compost I put in here was really wet and dense. I mean, and it still is. And so I think it was acting as a barrier, and the roots just got wet. We've had a lot of rain. We've got rain in the forecast for the next 5 days. So I bought some more tomato plants from him, and this is one of the tomato plants. So I've got my tomato plant next to it, Saucy Lady, and this is a plant called Celebrity. And what I did, I made a loose, very loose, a lot of perlite, a loose soil in here, dug out about a 5-gallon bucket on each of the plants here that weren't looking good, and filled it with that new soil. And as you can see, they're doing well. This Saucy Lady is a paste tomato, and it looks like it's recovering. This one, I'm not sure. This is another paste tomato. I'm not sure it's going to make it. That is sedge. So that's my tomatoes, kind of a mixed crop. I think I'm going to get enough tomatoes. This year I need to make tomato sauce. I make it about every 2 years, and we give it away to the kids, and we use a lot of it ourselves. Something has been eating my marigolds here too. I've never had anything eat my marigolds like they have. They're down to the stems. So I've been using that same spray to spray them with, and in this rain, you've got to spray it almost every day. But the tomatoes are going to grow up on my cage here, and these are all indeterminate tomatoes. That means they will fill up this, if they survive, they'll fill up this whole thing, and I'll try to prune them as much best I can. The tomatoes on the other side are determinate tomatoes. They will grow up and at the same time most of them will ripen. And that's really good for making sauce because you can get a whole bunch of tomatoes at one time. I know this is getting long, but if you're still with me, thank you so much. These are my peas, and like I said, this tomato was planted at the same time those tomatoes over there were, and it is thriving. I've got year-round lettuce that accidentally got caught in here. Here's a whole bunch of it. But my peas are starting to make peas. And I'll bring the camera over here and show you closer. Next year, I need to lower the cage here because I'm having a hard time the peas can't find the cage. In front here are, I think, 4 weeks succession of planting sweet corn. Eli planted this batch up here, and each week I plant about a dozen seeds, and that'll eventually fill the whole thing up. So you can see I've got lots of blooms, and this one's really filling out. Look at the raspberries here. We've got thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of raspberries coming on. These are all black raspberries, except there's one plant in here called Glingo, and I don't see it right now, but it is doesn't have spines on it. It doesn't have stickers on it. And I tried to buy some more, and it was already sold out. Baker Creek had it for a while. And it produces a purple berry. Here's one right here. I really like that, and so does my wife. Hopefully we can find some more plants, and I'll put them on this side of the rose. Roses are really looking pretty, and they're growing so fast. I'm really glad I cut those back. I wanted to show you this water lily. My late brother gave me this several years ago, and it is hardy. It's been blooming for several days now. It's open and closed. This pump does not have a battery on it, so it's not running right now. But, you know, walk by the roses, and I think of my minister's grandma. Walk by this, and I see my brother's reflection. Go down there in the garden, and memories of my mom swoop through my brain. I think that's part of gardening. Just sharing those experiences and remembering things that have long gone past. Well, this is where I'm going to leave you today. I love this bed. I have not cut the flowers back because I was waiting for this update. Sometime this week or soon, I will cut these flowers back. I think the Williams here, the Sweet Williams, will rebloom. I think the snapdragons will rebloom. But this bed has been beautiful for months. So I hope it's May 1st. I hope you were able to get some garden in sooner or later, and that it is your best garden ever. Thanks for watching. You know, I just looked at the camera and saw my clematis up there. It's never been more pretty, and I don't think I saw it yesterday. I'm going to turn the camera around and give that as my ending shot.